We are live.
All right. A very good morning to all of us present here and the viewers who are joining in from Facebook. Welcome to today's program organized by Anubhav Positive Psychology Clinic on the occasion of Mental Health Day. 10th October is celebrated internationally as the day for global mental health awareness and advocacy against the stigmatization of mental health issues. It was first celebrated in 1992 at the initiative of the World Federation for Mental Health, a global mental health organization. The theme for World Mental Health Day 2020 is Mental Health for All, greater investment, greater access. We at Anubhav Positive Psychology firmly believe in this message and have been providing dedicated services in psychological wellness, training, and skill building. You could say that mental health for all has been Anubhav's motto for the past 25 years. Now, the reason why mental health for all, greater investment, greater access is such an important topic is because there is a rising need for mental health professionals. There's a rising need for psychoeducation in our country and in the world as such. And we basically need to realize that mental health has not been seen at par with other aspects of well-being and health, but we can't forget that there is no health without mental health. Therefore, to commemorate World Mental Health Day, Anubhav has organized a debate on psychological disorders and their causes. I would now like to move on to introduce our debaters for today. We have Anuja Mitra. She is a student from Amity University. We have Orpita Maji. She is a student of Loreto College. And we have Onik Bose, who is from Ashutosh College. Welcome, participants. We also have with us Ms. Debangana Bhattacharya. She is our judge for today. Ma'am Bhattacharya is a lecturer from the Department of Clinical Psychology, George Group of Colleges. Along with having 7 years of experience in teaching, she is also currently a PhD research scholar. She has published several papers in international journals and has also been awarded Best Paper for her work. She has experience working under the Indian Council of Medical Research and has extensive experience in research methodology and statistics and teaching and managing children with learning disabilities. Ma'am, we welcome you.
Thank you so much, Diksha. Thank you and all the best to all the participants.
And before I forget, my name is Jigisha Ghosh and I will be the moderator for today's debate. I will now move on to sharing a PPT where you can see the format and the rules for today's debate. Just a second, I'm having a bit of an issue here. All right. Right. So the World Mental Health Day debate. The format of the debate is that there are 2 rounds. Round 1 is where each participant is going to get 7 minutes to place their argument forward. A warning bell is going to be rung after the first 5 minutes has elapsed. The participants are not to be interrupted or cross-questioned in this particular round. Round 2 is the rebuttal round, and each participant will have 3 minutes to refute the other on their individual speeches. Try not to interrupt your participants here either. The scoring is going to be done based on content, time management, and rebuttal skills. Each field has 10 marks. Therefore, the cumulative mark a participant can get is out of 30. The one who gets the highest out of 30 automatically wins. The rules for the debate, please note. Participants, you may only speak in English. Try not to exceed the time limit, otherwise points will be deducted. Maintain decorum. Respect your opponents. Do not use any profane language. Do not speak out of turn. Do not be disrespectful to any persons or community. Disregard for these rules will lead to deduction in scores, or better yet, disqualification. Right. The motion for today's debate is genetic predisposition overpowers environmental factors in mental disorder. Now, the reason why we chose this particular topic is because there has been an ongoing debate among psychologists since time immemorial regarding what is the actual cause behind mental disorders. Is it genetic predisposition, which refers to genetic inheritance, genetic material heritability, or is it environmental factors, which refers to all the environmental influences which are surrounding a person, like their social surroundings, their upbringing, parental styles, life experiences, and I will not say any more. This debate is commonly referred to as the nature nurture controversy, where nature refers to the genetic inheritance and nurture refers to the environmental influence. Today, our debaters will be taking on this controversy and letting us know how they would interpret it in 2020. So, without any further ado, let us begin the debate. All the best debaters. Our first speaker is Anuja Mitra. She is going to be speaking for the motion. Anuja, your 7 minutes starts now.
A very good morning to one and all present here and also the one who are watching us live. So today we are going to discuss a very burning issue in psychology, nature, nurture controversy. And I am going to speak about the motion or for the motion. So genetic predisposition overpass environmental factors in mental disorders. Genes. I'm sure everyone who is present here and who is watching us won't deny the importance of genes in framing our psychological, our biological features. Whether you can roll your tongue, your hair color, your eye color, how you manage yourself in certain situation is all about your genes. We are innately carrying the trait within ourselves. So genes are very important to us, and also it plays a very important and indispensable role in mental disorders too. It's not that who I am advocating the fact, but studies show that major psychiatric disorders like schizophrenia, OCD, or you talk about anorexia, or your depressive disorders, autism, everything has a genetic base, an inherited component. And if we take into account, it accounts for 75% of genetic inheritable base that lies behind everything. In 2018, a scientific research was conducted which proved that scientific disorders have a traceable genetic component, inherited gene variation. Certain genes which are muted, certain genes which are variable, certain which are, you can say that, very much disruptible are inherited from our parents to ourselves. Through alleles, genes we inherited, and that is present with ourselves. I would like to mention that certain people have depressive genes within themselves. When the environment triggers, they have the source within themselves. They can't help but react to it. They become vulnerable to it because they have inherited it. Coming to, there are many chromosome variations. Like 97% of all mental disorders have chromosome variation base in them. There was a very famous study which was conducted in Barcelona family, where the family was suffering from social panic disorder and social phobia. So the researchers found out that they were sharing a common defected chromosome, a particular chromosome which was affecting them. And when tests were conducted, it was found that that particular disorder was that gene was very much common in that disorder, and many people were having it. So we cannot really ignore the fact that genetic matter doesn't affect us or affect mental disorder. Actually plays a very important role. I would like to give a very simple example. Like in exam hall, we are all under same situation, right? It's not that I am being comforted or my friend is in a very nervous situation in an environment. But I have seen people who are having panic disorders, nervous breakdown in a very serious situation. Why we all don't have it? We are facing the same environment, right? Why we all don't have it? Because that person is carrying that particular trait. He or she has that trait within himself. When just the source is within the person, and just when the person is placed in the environment, that source rises up. But we can control the environment to some extent, but not the source. It is present within yourself. What we can do is that we know the genetic component. We can be precautious not to transform them, or to be very careful while transforming them to our upcoming generation. Because if you have a depressive trait, if you have a very gene that is carrying some serious mental disorder like schizophrenia, some chromosome is affected, some chromosome is mutated. If we know about that, we can prevent, or we can actually take precaution for our upcoming generation by taking some preventive measure. But once the person knows about that a family trait is running, a family gene they are sharing, the risk of facing that mental disorder increases by 5 times. And there are studies supporting my argument. Stanford School of Medicine had conducted this study. They have proved that genetic matter is actually which is important in transforming the mental disorders. There is a very much a serotonin transforming gene which actually varies in depressed patients. So the gene heredity trait very much plays an important role. And I would like to raise my case here that genes actually speak louder than environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Anuja. So basically what you're hinting at is the fact that you can change environment and you can take a person from one environment to the other, but if the genetic material for a particular disorder is present in them, then there is no way that the traits are not going to show up, basically, right?
Right, absolutely.
All right, then. Our next speaker is Onik Bose, who is going to be speaking for the motion. Okay, Onik, your 7 minutes start now.
A very good morning to everyone present here. I would like to thank Diyashini Di, Jigisha Di, and my judge present over here, and my co-participants, and also the audience who are being here. And that according to the topic that genetic predisposition overpowers environmental factors in mental disorders, and I'm going to speak for the topic. And I would like to mention that genes are the basic physical and unit of physical and biological unit of our heredity. And there are several examples which I can say, that is there are examples like in the explosion in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. left such violence that, in fact, today even there are effects of that violence and which is carried on through the genes. And also, one more example, that is the plate tectonic theory suggests that the part of South India which came from Africa, and the similarity in the skin color of the South Indians and the Africans are quite similar, which suggests the effectability of the genes. So therefore, gene has a very, very effective role. And the thing is what, even after environment being present as a very, very important triggering factor, genes cannot be overlooked. And even if environment being a powerful factor, genes, it needs to be backed by genes and heredity in order to make an effect. There are studies which shows that in the absence of the E4 allele, the people are less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease even after having a head injury. There was a study conducted to explore the combining effects of head injury and the E4 allele, and it was found that the E4, the risk of the risk of Alzheimer's in the absence of E4 allele was zero, even with those participants who were having a history of head injury in their family. No, who were having a head injury, and there are studies which shows that people with history of alcoholism are of a history of alcoholic parents are in a greater risk to develop major depressive disorders and also alcoholism than the people who are not with the risk, not with the genetic risk. And there are studies which also shows the antisocial behavior as a result of genetic history. People with uh, people with the genetic history of antisocial behavior are more likely to develop adolescent aggression, childhood aggression, and conduct disorders, which suggests that genes plays an important role. And there are even studies which shows association between the dopamine receptor hormones um, with alcoholism, schizophrenia, post-traumatic stress disorders, and all. And there was a research which shows that people with a genetic history of illness are um, people with a genetic history of illness more are less likely to act creatively in stressful situations. So even after the I went through a lot of things like the twin studies and the adoption studies, association studies, and I found that uh, especially in adoption studies, even after the environment being vulnerable, the environment has only the environment has effect on the people who are already possessing a genetic risk and not the others who are not possessing the genetic risk.
5 minutes.
Even okay, even in the Hindu mythological epics, Mahabharata, Ramayana, we can find that uh, there are examples of heredity playing a crucial role. For example, the son of Abhimanyu, the son of Arjun, Abhimanyu, was also great at archery like his father, and also Love and Kush, the son of Lord Rama, was also good at archery. So genes do play a crucial role in shaping the physiology and the psychology of a person. And here my speech ends. And thank you so much. Please kindly do forgive for the mistakes that I have committed. I'm really sorry for whatever I've been. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Monique, to sort of summarize Thank you, Monique. To summarize your speech, you've not just spoken about the importance of genes in science, of using certain research evidences. You've also brought in a little bit of our Hindu mythology to explain it. Very well done. All right. We've heard two arguments for the topic, and now it's time for listen to one which is against. We have Orpita, who's the sole speaker, who's going to be taking on two participants. Orpita, are you ready?
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
So your time starts now.
A very good morning to one and all present here. Today our topic is today is a World Mental Health Day. So when we all are talking about a discipline called psychology. Now psychology is defined as the scientific study of behavior. So whenever the word science comes in, this discipline has a very stubborn way of defining itself, which says cause and effect relationship. This cause and effect relationship has to be established to call anything scientific. So that is why one of the leading topics that psychology discusses, that is mental disorders, also is constantly in the quest of finding out the cause for it. Now, there are two important classifications of all the causes that we can list down that may lead to mental disorders. And one is the biological aspect, the other one is the psychological and socio-cultural aspect. One of the aspects of the biological reasons is genetic disposition that any individual and every individual, any organism, in fact, possesses. Now, when we are talking about whatever discussion is happening here, we have to keep in mind the motion of the debate, which says genetic predisposition overpowers environmental factors in mental disorders. The word overpowers is very important. We're not talking about the individual influences of these factors, because we have to admit that both the factors are important in causing mental disorders. We cannot deny one factor and just put importance only to another one. So keeping in mind that fact, because this is unchangeable, you cannot change that fact. We are talking about the level of importance of these two factors. Now let's consider genetic factors only to begin with. We have already heard so many research evidences which undeniably claims that yes, genetic factors are responsible for causing mental disorders, and no matter what the environmental factors are, a person who has the vulnerability will show chances of having mental disorder. Now here the word chances is very important. The genetic factors only confirms the chances of suffering from a particular mental disorder. It does not confirm that it will be the sole cause or it will be the overpowering cause of having a mental disorder. I'll state a fact here, another research evidence to add on to the list that has already been said. It says genes don't fully determine whether a person develops a mental disorder. However, there is a substantial evidence that most mental disorders show at least some genetic influence. It was stated by Polman et al. In 2013 and Rutter 2006 research. Now, the first line itself suggests genes don't fully determine whether a person develops a mental disorder. Now, it clearly suggests, but it also states that genes have a role to play. Now, if we are claiming that genetic endowment or genetic predisposition is the overpowering factor to cause mental disorder, then you're trying to say that this whole branch of psychology, this day itself, when we're talking about world mental health situation, when all we can do is we can manipulate environmental factors, we can create situations, we can help, we can create situations which are not stressful. We can help a person deal with the stressors that are already existent in her life, even help her deal with the vulnerabilities that are already present genetically in the person. So if genetic powers would anyway overpower, then our whole branch and the goals of psychology that we have, that is creating a very good mental health, maintaining mental hygiene, and helping these people out with the disorders, is somewhere going futile, right? So that is one thing. And the other one is, whatever your genetic manifestations are, it cannot be directly, it cannot come out directly unless your environmental factors are creating the pathway for it. Like my friends here mentioned that somebody who has the potential to be something, it's determining our skin color, our hair color. So it also determines our psychological abilities as well. So imagine being the son or the daughter of a brilliant singer, and I have the genetic endowment in myself. But what if I have not been given any training throughout my life? I don't even understand the variations in the pitch or the volume or anything. Then I will not be able to be a singer. Similarly, I might have the anxiety traits in me. I might have the uh, depression traits in me. But what if I am brought up in a situation which is completely free of any scope or any chance of creating any kind of damage in the mental hygiene situation? Mental hygiene, as in the healthy environment and the healthy mental health practices that we maintain in our lives. Let's take an example of antisocial disorder.
5 minutes.
Now, in case of antisocial disorders, even the ones who belong to families who have this trait or this gene, if they have been well trained, and if they have been if they can be prevented from from manifesting their genetic endowments, then there is no way that the disorder will develop in itself. Because we have to keep in mind that even though we say that the genetic vulnerabilities are the causal factors of mental disorders, these causal factors will not be able to manifest themselves without the pathway that is provided by the environment. And the environment can be anything and everything, which includes our social situations, our family situations, our parental upbringing, everything. If a person doesn't have any mental conflicts to deal with, or they don't have a lot of stress to deal with, or they haven't faced any trauma, how can anxiety disorder, mood disorder, or you know conduct disorder, or any of these will show up? And even for autism, we find autism even in families who has no history of autism. So the bottom line of this whole conversation is both of them, the genetic influence as well as the environmental influence, are important in determining whether or not a person will have mental disorder. But none of these factors are strong enough to overpower the other. Both are working together, and both will keep on working together. We can continue this controversy forever, because this is something which is dealing with a forever conflict, right? But the I rest my case with saying that it will be condemnable and a very arguable thing to say if I claim that any one of these factors is more important than the other. Thank you.
Okay, your time is up. So you basically summarized your own speech, Orpita. There's not much left to say, but still the gist of Orpita's speech is that even if a person has a genetic endowment or the vulnerability to develop a particular kind of mental disorder, if their environment isn't allowing these traits to show up, then there is a high chance that they never will. Now, before we move on to the rebuttal round, I would request Ma'am Bhattacharya to tell us how she has scored our participants on their speeches. Ma'am, we'll start with Anuja.
First of all the participants have spoken very, very nicely, very informative, and very good. I'm very, very, very surprised to see, that the students are speaking with such confidence and with so much of information. So very good. And so the marks are almost same for all the participants. It's just a very, very small difference. So for Anuja, for the speech, it's 7 marks.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and for time, so she has completed her speech on time, so it's 9 marks for the time.
Thank you.
For Arpita, also 7 marks on speech, and time 9 marks. And for Onik, speech 6 marks, and time 9 marks. It's same because they all have
Thank you, ma'am.
completed within the time.
Thank you,
Well,
ma'am.
thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you,
Anuja and Urpita, very interestingly, the both of you have the exact same total till now. You both are tied. So the next round, which is the rebuttal round, is crucial for the both of you to try to break this tie, and it's very crucial for Onik to try to sort of, for a lack of a better word, jump the two of them and, finish first. So we will move on to the rebuttal round now, where you can refute your your opponent participants on their particular speeches. You may refer to them by name, but please be respectful. All right. So we'll start with Anuja. You have 3 minutes to refute. Start.
Okay. So, my dear friend Arpita, your speech was really very motivating. And I would just like to mention that we all know that both are important, right? But the question is overpowering, which is more important. So, I just heard that you said manipulate environmental factors. We can manipulate. So, can we manipulate genes? And if we can't, then how is it environmental factors, like you said, we are manipulating? Then if we can manipulate it, how it is more important? Because we can't manipulate genes as far I know. Please, if you say about this.
Orpita, how would you like to answer?
Hello. Yes, manipulating the genes. Now, since genes cannot be manipulated, and yet we are studying psychology and all of us are trying to do something here, we are relating the factor of gene with mental disorder. And we are dealing with mental disorders. We are not dealing with genes, right? So, environmental factors are the only things that you can possibly manipulate. And genes are not something that you can manipulate. So, my point was, if we can manipulate those environmental factors and prevent them, then how will it cause the mental disorders? Right? Because if we can create a situation where your genetic vulnerabilities will not get a scope of exposure, then you can definitely control it. And that's all what we're aiming to do, right? We don't want
Okay.
mental disorders to be caused.
Okay, I just have another question. Like you said, we can control, like we can make the situation environment free from stress. Can we really do that? Is it really possible that in such an environment you are creating a free stress situation, and you are telling that such a situation won't take our vulnerabilities outside? Is it really possible for creating a stress-free situation? If you please enlighten us upon this.
Well, if I had to say a complete yes or no to anything, then that is really very difficult, because nothing has an absolute yes or an absolute no. But what we can do is try and try our best. So we can definitely try our best to create a stress-free environment. But as you mentioned, I will agree to it. Yes, it is not completely possible to do that, but we can also help the individual to cope effectively with the stress. And if your coping strategies are efficient enough, then even if you're suffering through stress a lot, the effect will not be that massive.
Okay, thank you, Anuja and Orpita. Somewhere Anuja is still hinting on the fact that when it comes to causation, maybe genetic factors do somewhere overpower environmental factors when it comes to causation. However, where Orpita is hinting is actually prevention. Somewhere she's trying to bring in the therapeutic aspects of psychology, because we don't just study about disorders and what causes them. We also study about how to prevent them. And if in a case a disorder does occur, then how do we help the person? So very interesting arguments. Onik, you also get a chance to refute your opponent participants if you want. And your time starts now.
Thank you, Jigishadi. I would also like to thank Ma'am Orpita for being so informative. I really like your speech. And the thing is, one thing you said that the genetic thing needs a bit of exposure from the environment. But I would like to say that problems like delusions. I uh, I have an example actually. my aunt, who has such things like she has a tendency to misunderstand everyone, even when the thing is um, not like that. It's not that harmful or not that vulnerable. She tries to perceive it in a vulnerable manner, and the same thing is I noticed in her son, my brother. So that is the thing. So in this kind of cases, even the environment not being that vulnerable, but uh, yet there are symptoms of abnormality. So I would like to ask that please you see some words regarding this, that because there is a genetic vulnerability, and it's the nature which happen to be the etiology. So please kindly say that the environment even not being vulnerable, yet the nature being vulnerable is being the etiology over here. And please kindly say something, ma'am or Pita.
Okay, just to summarize Onik's question once, his argument is that there are cases where the environmental factors aren't strong enough or aren't even remotely present in a high uh, propensity which can cause a particular kind of a disorder, but still certain symptom formations can happen in certain people. So, Orpita, how would you like to answer this question?
Uh, well, this is a fact again, and I cannot disagree with it. That yes, even without the presence of environmental factors, the genetic factors may cause certain symptoms. But I'm just going to refer to another example. Since you mentioned one example, I'll just mention another example. It is a historic case, and we are sitting here on a historic day. The case of Sybil Dorset. She was suffering from dissociative disorder, and we all have heard about her. Now, her mother had also delusions, but her mother was schizophrenic. Now, the daughter of a schizophrenic who also has the genetic vulnerabilities for all the symptoms suffers from dissociative disorder, which was then called multiple personality disorder. So, see, we are not having two similar kind of mental disorders, right? So, if genetic factors alone would have to decide all the causal factors, then the disorders must have been same too, and it isn't. And this is seen in a lot of cases as well. So, you cannot deny all the presence of environmental factors also. This is my
Ma'am or Pita, can you please mention some environmental factors which actually affected? If you can't, it's okay, no problem. But actually, I also went through researches where I found that abnormalities are present. The abnormalities are similar. I mean, the similar kinds of hormones are acting, but the abnormality might not be the same, not be the actual up to the mark according. But the thing is, what they are similar. They are quite closer at the same hormones or the same genes were acting, and were responsible for the same genes were responsible for two different kind of abnormalities. I also went through this kind of researches where um, one antisocial behavior, and it increased the risk of aggression and also conduct disorder and these things. Would you please kindly say a few words, as I don't know much and I also didn't gather much information. So I'm just you please kindly enlighten me. I would like to be enlightened, and not means not as an opponent. I would like to get enlightened from you as a teacher. Please kindly.
Okay. First of all, to sum up your question, you wanted to get enlightened on the environmental factors influencing mental disorders. From me as a teacher, well, I am a fellow debater. I am not your teacher here. I'm sorry, but we can definitely discuss it at length on some other occasions. This is not the context. But yes, I would like to mention certain cases that you said that hormonal hormonal functions or the genetic factors that are present in it's present in the families, and it runs in the children of the family, and they are more prone to having aggressive behavior or actually suffering from conduct disorder and mental antisocial disorders. Yes, but Fine. Since you said you want to get enlightened, this let me just give you an example which all of us have faced. You know, we all have watched several Bollywood movies and even Bengali movies where we have seen that one child whose father is a thief has been taken adopted by some other person, and that person, even though has shown certain behavioral aspects of being very aggressive and having the tendency to also be a thief, has not actually suffered from that disorder because of the upbringing, because of the strong moralistic principle that has been endowed in him, right? So that can also act it as one of the factors which will not give the mental disorder a chance to show up, right? So this is one thing that I can tell you.
Okay,
All
no
right,
problem.
thank you,
Good question.
Urpita, to sort of summarize that answer, the rebuttal that happened. Basically, when we talk about environmental factors, there's not one environmental factor that can affect a particular person. There's everything that surrounds you is basically your environment, not just the physical environment, but also the people who are around you. That also forms your environmental context. And as Orpita mentioned, parental styles, upbringing, inculcation of moral values into the child helps to stop them from developing certain behaviors which can be considered to be antisocial as well. All right, so I think that marks the end of the rebuttal round and the debate as well. Ma'am Bhattacharya, I would like to ask you for the scores for this round.
Yeah. For Anuja, it's 7 again.
Yes, ma'am.
For
Thank you, ma'am.
Arpita, it's 9,
Thank you, ma'am.
and for Onik, it's 6.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so much.
Ma'am, now when we
Thank you
are
so much,
going
ma'am.
to be tabulating the scores, I would request Ma'am Bhattacharya to please shed some light and share your valuable insight about the motion that we have been debating today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jigisha. And first of all, I will say that all you three are excellent, very good. And Arpita is fighting alone. So, there's for that a little extra marks for Arpita. And Anuja is both Arpita and Anuja are very good. And for Onik, a little suggestion or advice for Onik, that you are very, very good, you are very informative, but just be a little confident. I think that's the thing that is lacking in Onik today. So you
Ma'am,
are
actually,
equally good. So just be a little more confident.
yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, and it was nice meeting you. Actually,
Yeah.
ma'am, my parents were around while I was giving the speech. That what made me nervous, and actually, I suffered criticisms since my childhood from my parents regarding
Oh, don't
all my
don't
performances.
don't think of
So,
all those things. You're very good and very informative. You have bring the mythology aspect, which is very good. So just be confident next time. This is just a starting. Just the lots of things will happen in your future. So you're just a student now. So don't worry about all those things. And
thank you,
all the
ma'am.
best for the
Thank you so
future.
much. Thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am. Thank you
and
so much.
coming back to the topic, so it's a very famous, debatable topic, that's nature versus nurture. So it's an ongoing thing. So I will not take much more time in discussing this topic. So it's like for me, there's nothing overpowers any factor. So both the factors are equally and equally responsible for any kind of behavioral outcome. So it's like some say that the genes are important, some says the environmental factors are important, but for me the both the statements are extremes. Both the factors are important. For example, like if I wish someday that I want to have 6 fingers, but I'm not genetically born with 6 fingers, so I can have that. But today I can't speak German, but tomorrow I can. If I start learning German, so tomorrow I will can acquire that skill. So I think the genes and environment works like this. and genes is a very complicated thing. In our system, a particular gene is also a product of another genes. So it's also respond not only one gene respond not only to another genes, but also respond to the other various factors, the environment where we live, the way we are our lifestyles, the food we eat, the decisions we make. So everything come together. So I think this is not a fight that which overpowers what. I think it's not nature versus nurture, is the nature and nurture both together. So we are not the the battle, it's a battlefield where the both the factors are fighting constantly. I think we as a human being are a canvas where the both the factors are corresponds each other, interact each other, and shapes our personality, shapes our behaviors. And as a mental health professionals, I think they mentioned, the participant mentioned, like stress that we are facing nowadays. So as a mental health professional, we all know that resilience, that is a predictor of stress. So resilience is again a environmental thing. So we can manipulate that resilience. So manipulate means that we can promote the ability of resilience. We can help people in strengthening their resilience. This is the manipulation of the environmental factors. So as a mental health professionals, so our aim will be to enhance the resilience ability in human beings, so that the stress minimize, the stress goes down, the stress level goes down. So for me, this is how the thing works. And as a mental health professional, we should always help in individuals in coping the stress or coping the bad genetic factors positively, and make them more socially accepted, make them help the people more. So I think this is the main aim of psychology, or the main aim of mental health professionals. Yeah, thank you. This is what I believe.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You basically beautifully summarized why the nature versus nurture controversy has still not reached any sort of conclusion, an absolute conclusion where we can say, yes, it's nature, or no, it's nurture. Because it is fact that nature will set certain limitations for us, but it does not mean that we will just be limited to those factors, because nurture is equally important. So it's not a versus situation. They are always working together to make our behavior and our personality the way that it is. And thank you so much for sharing your insight as a professional. It is extremely helpful, not only for our participants and for myself. I'm still a student. It's also helpful for the people who are watching us today on Facebook. I hope you have learned something and you will take away a lot from today's debate. The debate itself, the arguments that were made, are also showing that there is no end to this particular controversy. We just have to sort of accept and move on that it's always going to be both these factors. There's no one causation factor. There's a lot of factors which are involved in mental disorders, and not just mental disorders, but also individual personalities, our behavior, our thought pattern, our emotional pattern, and everything else that's involved in making us what is human. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jigisha. Thank you, Anubhav, for inviting me. And I have also learned many things from the participants today. Learning is a constant thing. Everybody learns from others. So, and all the best to all the participants. All the best to you too for your future projects. And thank you.
Thank you. So the results are in. I can see everybody is waiting for me to tell you. So in third place, we have Onik. Congratulations. You were wonderful today, and you told me that this is basically your first time ever doing something like this. So I'd just like to ask you to keep at it, keep doing this, because you are good and you can definitely do this. In second place, we have
Thank you,
Anuja.
Jigisha Di.
You're welcome. In second place, we have Anuja. Congratulations. You everybody was waiting, let me tell you, for you to sort of start a conversation and really get into the dialectics of all of this. And the winner, the best speaker for today, is Orpita. Congratulations. It was wonderful listening to you, the only person who was speaking against the motion. And you also, through your speeches, summarized the exact point that we're trying to get at, that it can't be one factor. There's no overpowering here. It's actually both. So thank you, Ma'am Bhattacharya, for joining us today, taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. Thank you to the participants for studying up. Like, you people were stating research evidences, which I did not expect, with like years and names. So thank you so much for reading up, researching. I promise this is going to help you in your studies as well. Thank you to the audience for joining us on a Saturday morning to watch three bright young students have at it. And I would like to thank Aratrika. We can't see you, but without you, this program would not have been possible. She is the reason why we are live on Facebook today. So thank you, everyone. I would just like to share the contact details of Anubhav Positive Psychology to anyone who needs help, because at the end of the day, we are talking about mental health. We are talking about mental disorders, and it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to not ask for help. So please get in touch with us if you feel like you need to talk or you need to engage in any of the services that Anubhav Positive Psychology provides. Thank you so much, and we'll see you for the next one.